I've told this story to exactly 2 people in my life. My sister, who told me I was sleep-deprived and paranoid, and my therapist, who wrote something down and then changed the subject. So now I'm telling strangers on the internet, because at least you guys won't look at me differently at Christmas dinner. This started about 8 months ago in early October. I live alone in a rental house, small place, fenced backyard, quiet street. I'd had my dog Biscuit for 6 years, a beagle mix, stupid and lovable, the kind of dog who would befriend a serial killer if he had treats. Biscuit had a talent for escaping. The fence had a weak post on the east side, and no matter how many times I reinforced it, he'd find a way. I'd get a call from someone a few streets over, go pick him up, fix the fence again. Normal dog owner stuff. The first time the man brought him back, I didn't think anything of it. It was a Thursday evening, maybe 9 p.m. Knock at the door, and there's this guy, mid-50s, grey jacket, calm expression, holding Biscuit's leash. He said he found him 2 blocks over, sniffing around a storm drain. I thanked him, offered him $20, he waved it off. Normal interaction. I fixed the fence the next morning. 2 weeks later, Biscuit got out again. This time, I didn't even have to go looking. Knock at the door, 10:30 at night. Same man, same grey jacket, same calm expression. I said, "Oh wow, you again." Laughed a little. He just smiled and handed over the leash. I asked him where he lived, thinking I should know who my dog kept running to. He gestured vaguely down the street and said, "Not far." I didn't push it. The third time was what started to bother me. It was a Saturday. I hadn't even realised Biscuit was gone. I'd been working in my home office all day, door closed. I went to fill his water bowl around 2 p.m. and he wasn't in the house. Back door was closed. I checked the yard. Fence was intact. I was getting my keys to drive around the neighbourhood when the knock came. Same man. Biscuit. Leash. I stood there for a second too long before I said, "Thank you," because the fence was intact. I'd just checked it. Every gate was latched, and this man was standing on my porch with my dog. I asked him, point blank, "Where did you find him?" He said, "He was sitting at the end of your driveway." I looked past him. The driveway was maybe 30 feet long. If Biscuit had been sitting at the end of it, I would have seen him when I checked the yard. I didn't say that. I just took the leash and said thanks. That night, I started paying attention. I looked up and down my street trying to figure out which house was his. I didn't recognize him as any of my neighbors. I'd lived there 2 years. I knew most faces, if not names. His was not one of them. I asked my neighbor Linda if she knew a man matching his description. She didn't. I described him to the guy across the street who's lived there for 15 years. He shook his head. Nobody knew him. The 4th time he came to my door was in November. It was raining. He was completely dry. I know how that sounds, I know. It was a heavy rain, the kind that soaks you in 30 seconds. I'd been watching it from my window for an hour. He knocked, I opened the door, and his jacket didn't have a single dark spot on it. His hair was fine. He was holding Biscuit, who was absolutely soaked. I couldn't speak for a second. He said he was in the yard next door. Gate was open. I said, "Thank you," and closed the door. I stood in my hallway with Biscuit shaking rain onto my floor, and I just stood there. I never saw the man again after that. Biscuit stopped escaping, or at least I stopped finding evidence of it. I moved out of that house in February, partly for unrelated reasons, partly not. The thing I think about, the thing I can't logic my way out of, is the leash. The man always brought Biscuit back on a leash, a blue nylon leash with a little yellow star charm on the handle. I never owned a blue leash. Biscuit's leash was red. I still don't know whose leash that was. I threw it away every time. And every time he came back, it was the same one. A few months after I first posted this, someone messaged me privately asking for an update. So, here it is. I went back to that street last month. I don't know why. I parked and just sat there for a while. The house next door to my old rental, the one the man said Biscuit was found beside, has been vacant for 2 years, according to the current tenant across the street. Nobody had lived there the entire time I was renting next to it. The gate he mentioned, that yard doesn't have a gate. It's an unbroken fence on all 4 sides. I haven't driven down that street since.